Do you wish that you understood money better? Are you worried that you haven't saved enough for the future? Or upset with seeing how much your hard earned money is going to taxes? Maybe you're nail biting about the next possible recession, or you just want to know the right thing to do, but don't have the time to figure it all out. Well, today we are going to speak with an expert to break down the real steps to financial freedom.
Your someday starts today. It's time to explore and test the newest science, methods, and trends for creating a life you love with your host, Tanyamfk. Welcome to My Designed Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Design Life, where we learn and test the latest science, tips, tools, and strategies for you to create your best life every day. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at My Design Life Show and at Tanya MFK and the My Design Life Show podcast on your favorite streaming service. I'm your host, Tanya Marie Figueres Kreisinger, more easily known as Tanya MFK. And you are here today to learn not only how to create your best life, but how to live it now. And I am so glad that you are here. So my guest today was ranked the top 2% out of 16,000 financial advisors nationally while working for Merrill Lynch for 9 years. At the height of the financial crisis in 2008, he made a decision to choose his clients over the rest of the industry and all that noise, and he left the perks of Wall Street to become an entrepreneur, founding Pacific Capital, a transparent wealth advisory firm based in my home state of California. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Inc., and Entrepreneur Magazine, just to name a few. And he is the author of the #1 best-selling book, Stress-Free Money, making financial freedom and planning accessible to anyone, but is also so chock full of cutting-edge ideas that even economics experts have had to stop and take notice. So today, to talk about what it really takes to create the financial future you want, please welcome Chad Willardson.
Welcome to My Designed Life.
It's great to have you here, Chad.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, we got to get all that amazing things that you've done and in that path that, here and clear, because I want them to know they're talking to someone who gets it. So really, I'm looking forward to diving into this today with my own personal interest, but also with 2020 behind us. Many people's financial future is up in the air, and survival seems to be kind of the name of the game. And so for myself, growing up very poor, you start to get this idea that financial planning, wealth management, investments, all that stuff is either for rich people or risk takers. So before we jump in, I want to make it clear to the audience who this conversation is really for.
Well, that's a great myth that I think exists out there, and you're not alone thinking that. A lot of people think that I don't need to really think about financial planning, like you said, because I don't have enough money, or maybe even I'm just not old enough yet. But
right.
What the truth is that every single one of us has to make decisions about money. So personal finance is important to all of us, and understanding the basic principles that lead to success can really be accessed by anyone and really need to be understood by anyone. Something I talk about when I speak at schools in Southern California, I say, we're failing these kids because they graduate high school and they literally have not heard anything, or at least very little, about personal finance, right? And they're graduating high school and they're getting offers and solicitations for student loans and credit cards and all these things. And this is all new to them. And so they're very prone to make mistakes. And so the purpose of Stress-Free Money, the book I wrote, is really to give people some clarity, some insights and stories, regardless of your income, regardless of your net worth. I want to give you some practical tips that can help you, no matter what level you're at, to get closer to having some financial freedom and some success and a little bit more confidence and security in your financial life. So I think you're great to ask that question to make sure the audience knows that this is definitely for you.
This is for you. Yes. At any level, wherever you're coming from, it's not just, about, and that's what I love about your book. It's not just saying, oh, this is investing or this, that, because I think that's a very, intimidating thing for people if they're new to this whole world. But a lot of the first steps that I saw in your book is about getting an order, getting clarity, understanding the basics, like you said, which money touches everything we do. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter what level you're at in your income or your earnings. It kind of rules the world.
You're going to have to deal with it, whether you like it or not. So it's part of growth. growing up. So I think as you talk about it, I think about the analogy of going on a vacation, and we can all relate to packing for a vacation, packing the suitcase. Imagine you get your suitcase out and you go to the closet and you're getting ready to pack, but you have no idea where you're going on vacation, when you're leaving, how long you're going to be there, and what you're going to do when you get there. And that's essentially how we treat our financial life, is we don't have clarity in where we want to end up.
Yes.
And what we want to do in the future. And therefore, how do you even know what to pack? How do you know what decisions to make along the way with your money if you have no destination in mind?
I love that analogy. I just think of it like, and I know in your book you talk about kind of the financial noise and advice that's out there. Taking that same analogy, if you were to you're going on this holiday and this vacation, you don't know what to pack, you don't know where you're going, but you're also checking out travel advice, which can mean nothing if it's not relevant to where you're going, right?
Exactly.
So you're looking at all this stuff and you don't even know like what's relevant to you.
Yeah, where do I go to get advice? And am I going to these 1-star sites where people really don't have the same interests? Why am I taking a travel advice from someone who's talking about a destination I don't even want to go to?
Right. Or, maybe you don't want to do backpacking, maybe you're not trying to trek, maybe, whatever, not knowing that context is huge. I really love that analogy. So identifying where we want to go, what the end game looks like, as you actually explain in your book, is really that first thing. So let's talk about that a little bit. What's important for us to identify as we look at where we're going, what we want?
I think understanding, it's difficult to come up with goals for people if they don't see a list. It's almost like ordering with no menu. And so when I meet with someone for the first time, when they go on our website and they sign up for a meeting, we give them a list of I think 15 or so goals that they can choose from. And it's a lot easier to say, you know what, this is one of my goals. I want to help my kids. I want to pay for my kids' college or part of it. Or I'd like to travel at some point, or I'd like to retire at age 63. I want to pay off my debts eventually. I want to buy a real estate property to use as a rental. There's a lot of different goals that you can have, but I think what's important is that you do have you have some clarity of where you're going. Otherwise, you're going to be taken by the wind with your financial decisions because you don't really have a destination. So you've got to think of something that's important to you and your family. If you're single, you're going to have different goals than if you've got 3 kids at home. So think about your situation, your financial life, your family life, and think about what's important to you. Some people, it's really important that they want to create a better life for their children or future grandchildren than they had. Other people say, I'm not gonna pass. I actually had one client tell me, he was a little bit older, and he's like, if I was about to die and I had 1 quarter left, I would swallow the quarter. He said, I'm not passing on anything to the next generation because I learned through sweat and tears and hard work and suffering and sacrifice to really become successful. And then there's other people who say, I grew up poor. I want to make sure that my kids and grandkids can attend whatever college they want, or I'm going to help them buy their first house. So everyone's different. There's no one size fits all, but it starts with goals and having a little bit of clarity. Just think back to that analogy. You've got to decide where you're going to go on vacation and what you want to do there before you know what to pack and how to plan and where to get advice. So same thing with your money.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong, but you have to figure out your values. It sounds like what your value is going to help determine what those goals are and what that looks like. And one thing I want to note that is so significant that our listeners may have missed in that, no point did Chad say you need to figure out the number you want to retire with. It was the life that you're trying to create, provide, or want to live. Right.
Correct.
That was really the details and the specificity. I always mess up the specificity, whatever that word is. Specificity. We got it. Of what it is that really looks like, that granular level of detail. Because without that, you're unable as an advisor to even come in and kind of show them how do you give someone directions if they don't know where they're going?
Exactly. And I think what you're saying is designing the life and having that lifestyle plan is way more important than picking even an age that you want to stop working. And so when we talk about what do you want to do, some people say, I want to travel. I want to spend time with my kids and grandkids. I want to have the flexibility to enjoy more entertainment or golf or do hobbies or create a business, donate to a charity. Okay, that's great. Let's put a little bit of a cost to that and see how much it might cost to live the lifestyle that you want to design, and then work with a fiduciary advisor to help you build a plan to get you from where you are today to that designed lifestyle as soon as possible. There's no reason to say I have to wait till I'm 70 years old to start enjoying life. That's ridiculous.
Yes, I have to say, I've heard you quoted as saying retirement is dead.
It is dead. Yes, that's what
And I love it. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I think that's so powerful.
I think retirement is like an industrial age mentality where you're just put out, like retire. To retire is to put out of use. You're no more useful. So I don't see that as, especially for like the under 55 population right now. We don't relate to that. We don't relate to the idea of being useless or of sitting on the porch in a rocking chair until we die. So it's more about pursuing your passions, doing what you love to do, being fulfilled. And for some people that may be, I'm still working in my industry, my business. It may be a total switch. Like, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. And so now I finally have the flexibility. I don't have to go to my job to pay the bills. And so therefore I'm going to go do something I really want to do. But retirement to me is dead because it's like a fossil in my mind. It's like you worked in a factory for 40 years and then your body hurts. And so you stop and you retire and you just wait to die. And that's ridiculous to me. So to me, it's more about creating a life that you can enjoy, that's fulfilling, that gives you energy, that doesn't drain you, doing things that you're excited about. And, my business coach is in Toronto, Canada. He's 76 years old. He's been coaching entrepreneurs for 46 years. His name's Dan Sullivan.
Yes, Dan Sullivan.
Yeah, he plans to live to 156.
I love it.
As ludicrous as that sounds, he's like, look, if I'm doing things that give me energy and fulfill me, I'm going to live a lot longer than if I just say, well, I'm supposed to be not working anymore, not doing anything. So I'm just going to go sit on the porch and wait to die, basically. So. Right.
Yes. Well, and he loves what he's doing. He's good at it. He enjoys it. He's connecting with people. And that's the thing. And I've heard you also say that, the financial freedom, this idea is not this, retirement, nor is it just having so much money. It's rather the peace of mind that comes from knowing what you want out of life and having a viable plan to achieve it. Right.
Correct.
So it's really having this lifestyle. This is the beauty of it. It's not just sitting on piles of money, because let's be honest, Scrooge McDuck, sat around with, you can only swim in it for so long. Okay. So, you got to have a bigger picture than that. Now, one other thing that you said in that last, statement that I wanted to really bring to light, because I think as we move from this idea of having the financial plan and not even financial plan, financial goals, then we start to move into what it really looks like and in this industry and playing in this kind of financial planning, wealth management, all of these spaces. So you mentioned how it's important to have a fiduciary advisor.
Fiduciary, yes.
Yes. And so I think that is such a huge distinction. Can we explain that a little more?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, in the book, and I'll just show the book since you do have a video there.
Yes.
So in the 7 obstacles I talk about overcoming, one of them is biased advice from financial salespeople. And that's chapter 4. And I basically go into the difference of a financial salesperson and a fiduciary. And a fiduciary is legally obligated to put your best interest first at all times, even if it hurts or affects their compensation. They're not allowed to receive commissions for anything, any investment trades they're not allowed to get paid from investment companies. They have to be transparent on their costs. They really only get compensated from the client directly. So there's no backdoor, conflicts of interest. And what I think people don't realize is 95% of financial advisors out there are not fiduciaries.
Right.
So
That
they're
is what's so important.
that's this crazy thing is like, if you think your doctor is prescribing pills because they're getting paid way more money than prescribing the medicine that you really need, that would make you feel very uncomfortable. And yet that happens every single day in our industry.
Yes.
So I compare kind of right here. Let me see if the lighting's all right. There it is.
Yeah.
So fiduciary versus a broker versus a salesperson, it's just a different level. And so I think people ask me like, well, how much money do I need before I hire an advisor? That's a great question. I think most people do not need to pay an investment advisor, investment manager, whatever you want to call us. Most people do not need to pay them ongoing for investment management services. I get a lot of referrals that come in from LinkedIn or from podcasts or from people who read the book. And I think that I say you need a fiduciary financial plan. You need a game plan. You need a blueprint. That's a one-time cost. That's like a few months process, but you don't need to pay us forever. You don't need to have us on the payroll forever paying investment fees and things like that, unless you do have a significant amount of investments that needs day-to-day attention and stuff like that. So I think most people, number one, they're intimidated and overwhelmed. And number two, they don't know who to trust. And number three, they feel like they're going to get overcharged. And so my advice is go find a fiduciary advisor, talk with them, consult with them, figure out a game plan, and hopefully you can get set up for success and not have to pay these huge fees or commissions that most of these guys and ladies are trying to charge you.
Yeah. Well, I think the point is that you actually don't need to pay those fees, but it's knowing that simple difference. It was just mind blowing for me to go, the fact that you have to say we're legally obligated to have your best interest come first. The flip side of that means that there's a huge percentage of people that are not. And like you said, like the doctor analogy, how crazy is that? And that simple little difference is just something that is not widely known. Of course, we're not getting financial education in school. We're not getting all of that information. And then if we are trying to educate ourselves, this is not something that these other investment firms are just saying right out, oh, by the way, we're not legally obligated to make sure to put you first.
And what's crazy is in the last 5 years, there was a push to essentially make the fiduciary standard. And you can Google this, but there was a push to make it basically the industry standard where everyone giving financial advice has to be a fiduciary. And the big banks and investment firms spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying against that and won. And so basically they, like, behind the scenes, they're in Washington basically fighting against making the fiduciary rule the standard.
Wow.
And I'm like, if people understood this, what the big banks and insurance companies and investment firms were doing, like, they're fighting for the right to essentially take advantage of people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. And I know you, even in your book, you have some outline of just some of the practices of what's like happened in other situations and banks. And you're like, that's just the big banks. That's just the stuff we know that the big banks have done. Like, imagine how like wrought with issues that this industry is. So no wonder it's scary. It's scary for those who have no bearing to come in and try to make sense of this with the best of intentions and get lost or make wrong decisions and get really burned. There's so much.
Yeah.
So as we've come into this, we go, okay, here's my goals. I'm making sure to have the right type of people working with me. Mm-hmm. What is really kind of that first step beyond that? Like, is there a certain amount of money we need to come with? Can we come with anything? What's that next step? What could help that intimidation as well to really step into that?
I think, well, when you're looking for a fiduciary advisor, you need to look at credentials, credibility. When you meet with someone or talk with someone, they need to be asking lots of questions. It needs to be it needs to be about you. It needs to be you sharing your goals and your financial background, your concerns. It shouldn't be them talking much. They shouldn't be talking about, trying to sell you anything. So I
Mm.
think people are afraid of getting sold an investment fund or an insurance policy like right off the bat. And that's typically the go-to, because that's how most of these people get paid, is if they make a sale. So it should be more of a consultation and doing your research. If you are a business owner, you should go to a fiduciary advisor who's also a business owner. They can give you advice in your space. So instead of taking advice from someone who's read about those
What
things
it's
that
like
you're
to run a
doing,
business.
yeah, go to someone who's actually done it and who can actually share those experiences with you and has been in the trenches. I'm not going to go to get parenting advice from someone with no kids. I have 5 kids. So I want to talk to someone who actually has kids and can relate. I'm not going to go to a trainer at the gym who's completely out of shape and eats junk food every day. Like,
Right.
I want to go to someone who practices what they preach. So I think taking the barrier down is find a fiduciary advisor who's doing things that you can relate to and that you can get along with, and that you can get some understanding mutually together. You create a plan, and they will help you set up financial habits and get things in place that will set you up for future success. And so I've often said, if you don't tell your money where to go, it's going to tell you where to go.
Ooh, I like that.
So if you can get intentional, we talk about designing your life. If you can design your financial life and get intentional and create some habits and some foundational practices in your life, whether it's a really small amount or a really big amount, the point is you're setting a foundation for future success. And it's better to start today and not procrastinate, because people come into us in their late 50s or 60s and we can help them. But with more time, you can do a lot more.
Of course. So there's no such thing as too late, but
No,
today is the best day. If you haven't done it yet, start now.
that's right.
It's not
That's right.
too late, but you just gotta get going. Don't wait till later and go.
It's one of those things you procrastinate, but it's the more time you have, the better. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned there, like, they'll give you a plan, an idea, kind of where to go. Is there a threshold that you need to start with something, or can you, come in with your $1,000 or something and start, or is there somewhere that people have an idea of when it's good to, as I just said, when it's good to start this venture, but when it's good to go to that next level, I guess?
I think the setting up the plan, you need to obviously have some money to spend and save, but we have some people who come in and they have like someone who just finished medical school, they're a doctor, and they're in their 20s, and they finally are earning a little bit of money, but they have tons of student debt from medical school, and they have a kid or two, and they're wondering, where should their money go when they make money? Like, should they pay down the school debt? Should they save for retirement? Should they invest in their equipment and their practice? So I think it's, as soon as you're ready to make progress on your financial goals, you should consider speaking with the fiduciary advisor. There's no harm. The first appointment with most fiduciaries is going to probably be free, as long as it's not like hours long. But I don't think if you're in college and you have literally no money, you're probably not ready yet. But if you're earning some income and you have decisions to make and you want to make progress on your goals and get a plan set up, we've met and helped with people who are in their early to mid 20s.
Nice.
I've met with people who are in their 90s and who are in their 20s. So I don't know that there's like a right time, but I guess the time is more about your mindset. Are you ready to actually commit to doing some things?
Because even if you don't have much, you can get an idea about what you need to at least get to where you want to go. So either way, you're coming with your own clarity, and ideally getting some more clarity through your advisor, and they can show you whether or not you're ready. And if you're not, they can show you what you need to get ready.
Yes, that's right. And some fiduciary advisors will charge by the hour. Some will charge by the plan, and it depends. But if you can afford an hour or two of someone's time, then I think it's worth the conversation, because you're going to get clarity on, if you're not ready, you're going to get clarity on what to do to get ready, like you said.
Right. So it's good either way, guys. What I'm hearing is whatever it is, you need to get that start to know and help someone continue to guide where you need to go, even if you're going, well, I don't have much. Let's not, that waiting game isn't going to serve you. So even if the next step isn't jumping into the market or whatever happens, the next step is just getting that information. So, because the ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is what's holding you back from this potential financial freedom, right?
Yeah. And I read a quote this morning that says, it said oh gosh. Okay. I'm going to look at it on my phone actually. But while I'm saying, it's like the question you ask of when is a good time to start, it's almost like, when is a good time to get healthy and get in shape?
Right.
When should I start eating better and exercising more? I don't know, probably today. That's probably the best time.
Yeah. Well, let's see. How much does it affect you? Oh,
Yeah.
Right. Everything, all the time.
I'm not ready. I'll start next week. But here's the quote. It says, one of the greatest dangers of life is to know enough about a subject to think you're right, but not know enough about it to know that you're wrong.
Ooh.
And so with money, I've experienced that my entire career, 19 years, is that a lot of times people know enough or they've read some things. And so they think that, yeah, I'm right. I already know what I'm doing, but they don't quite know enough to realize that they're wrong. And so sometimes they'll find out too late or after a big financial disaster in their life or a recession hits and they weren't ready. So it's better to get that information up front and to get the facts and be honest with yourself than to just think you already know it all and wait.
Yeah, actually, I saw one of, as I was doing my research on you, some of the reviews, I looked on the book, and the book has fared really well. People are really, you guys, as you'll hopefully grab this book or you'll be doing your own research on it, you'll see that all different walks of life are saying, wow, this is it's such an easy read. There's such quick wins in terms of what I can grasp from this. It doesn't take an MBA to understand it. But one that really stood out to me was somebody who said, look, I have an MBA, I'm an economics expert. I've done XYZ. I've taken care of myself. And even after reading this, I was going, wow, I realized what I didn't know. And he used the quote, a lawyer who represents himself as a fool for a client. And
Yeah.
And so it's really that same thing. So you may have looked a little bit and you go, well, maybe I can wing it. And a big mistake I know people do is they go and just start buying individual stocks, which can be a real slippery slope because you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't. And
Right.
This is why coming in for an advisor and someone that you can trust, right? So, and that's a big part of this, guys. It's not to just sell you on the concept of advisors. It's really to sell you on the concept of that getting a hold of your finances and getting a hold of your future and having your money do something for you, because it's sitting in the mattress isn't going to make you money. It's sitting away isn't going to help you. As a matter of fact, if anything, that's where you can lose money because inflation is inevitable, right? So you're going to lose money there for sure.
The banks are paying a whopping 0.0% right now.
Exactly. So having that is not going to say, so it's knowing that this is a path for you, that there is a way for you, but also knowing that to find somebody that you can trust and that there's even titles they're given, like an independent fiduciary, that'll give you at least the first step to know that it's a better option. And then you do, of course, a little more vetting and your research through that. But that is so important as you can grasp this and come into this. And then when you start to once you've already got over that hurdle, then you start to learn. And this book will really show you, as I excitedly saw, is a little understanding of the investments, what that looks like, what numbers to focus on. It does talk a lot, like you said, about the salespeople, but also even goes into fees and understanding fees and what can be hidden there. So maybe you're not going to walk out and be able to open your own firm after you've read this book, but you're going to have such a huge grasp. And what's amazing is you've done it in such a short amount of time. It's like 140 pages.
Yes.
And
the audiobook is under 3 hours at regular speed, which I like to say because I listen to audiobooks a little faster. But
I do too, yes.
So it's not a long read and it's simple. I really cut out any jargon. I made it simple. Like I have 3 younger sisters and one of my sisters actually read the book and she said, this is her quote. She said, Chad, I actually liked it. She's like, I don't read anything about financial stuff, but I actually like this. I can understand it. And I feel a lot smarter about money stuff having read this book. There's a lot of simple stories and insights, and I tried to make it easy for the readers, so it wasn't some kind of boring technical book at all. So
yeah, it's really accessible. And so that's what I love about this. One thing I did like in that, as we kind of get into more of the nitty gritty stuff, was you mentioned like there's only two reasons to invest, and it's to generate cash flow today or to generate cash flow in the future.
Correct.
And I loved how black and white that was, because I think we get into all these, the attraction can be those quick wins. Oh, if you invest and you're going to, it's always a thing we see on movies and stuff. You're going to hit that winner, but it's not even about that. It's, do you need money now or do you need money in the future? And once you identify that purpose, then again, we go back to figuring out the plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Great insight. So investing is delayed consumption. Mm-hmm. So I'm delaying spending money today. And this is something I teach my kids a lot. It's like, you're either spending money today or you're delaying it to spend in the future. And if you choose to delay it and invest it, how far out into the future do you want to use it? Mm-hmm. And that's important because that'll tell you what to invest in. So if someone comes to me and says, I'm saving up for something in 3 years, that's very, very different from, I'm going to need this in 25 years when I stop working.
Right.
So you can choose a great plan of investing depending on your age and when you want to actually start using that money. So I talk about it if someone's already, so we just got a referral yesterday and they're already retired and they're coming into our office tomorrow, and they want to generate income now. So their goal is, I want this money to produce as much income as it can today to pay for my bills and my lifestyle today. Whereas someone we just met with yesterday, they're 20 years out from not having a paycheck, most likely. So they're really looking to grow this money so that it can produce income in the future. So let's grow it as much as we can for 20 years, and then we turn on the faucet and start bringing that income into them. So that's a great way to just break it down, is like, am I delaying consumption? Am I investing to create income today, or is it in the future? And if it's in the future, how far into the future?
Yeah.
That's going to tell you how much risk you can take and how much you can essentially tolerate in the meantime for the ups and downs of the markets and the economy.
Yeah. If you want it, do you want that money to get a house sometime soon, or do you want it for that retirement to, or that, relaxation income coming at some point? It's a big difference. And not just the identifying what it is that you want, but like you said, there's different places where that money will actually go based on fees and things and how long it grows. And all those technical stuff I don't know, but I know that that's a huge difference, is not just knowing it, but it actually will go physically somewhere different based on the output that you want, the outcome that you want.
Correct. Yes, 100%.
Well, so that's awesome. And I know we're getting close on time here, but one thing, or I guess maybe the big thing to understand, guys, about this book and about this process that I love, as you guys know, I love steps, I love action steps, is that it is all broken down into basically 7 things that you need to overcome, 7 obstacles that you need to overcome to get to this place of financial freedom, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. 7 practical steps and obstacles. And I share a lot of stories, but I feel like no matter what level you're at, what's important to remember is that financial freedom is absolutely possible for all of you.
Yes.
And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll get there. And I believe that no matter what income level you're at, I've seen people totally transform not just their financial life, but their actual personal life, because they feel that burden lifted of the anxiety and the stress and the uncertainty. And 2020 has been full of uncertainty and stress. And so what better time to say, you know what, it's time for me to commit and buckle down and make a plan and set myself up for the future, because my future self is going to thank me because of the things and the action steps I'm taking today. And I believe that's possible for all of you.
Absolutely. Yes. Change that mindset. And like you said, it doesn't just change the financial situation. It changes really everything about your being, because you're stepping into the person that plans for the future. And that person, that personality, that experience becomes part of who you are, which will affect all the other areas of your life. And
Absolutely.
so the 7, real quick, because I do have them here, is the like not having clear goals. I might not have the exact wording that you have, but the obstacles are like not having clear goals. We talked about a lot in the beginning. Another one is something that I love you explained as financial fast food. So when you dive into that, it's really just feeding on all the news and your friend with the good stock tip, all that nonsense. Learning that there's a difference between staying abreast of the industry and another as to just listening to all the noise. And then there is focusing on the wrong number, I believe. The bias advice from the financial salespeople. What I love that you called the F word, which I believe is for the fees and things like that.
Fees. Yeah, my mom hates that chapter title. She's like, really, Chad? And I'm like, Mom, it's fees. I'm talking about fees. And she's like, you could have named it anything. And I'm like,
you got to get the attention.
Got to get the attention.
No one wants to read a chapter called fees. Let's be honest.
That's right. That's right.
So that was smart. And then it's the too much or not enough risk, right? So that goes into kind of knowing where you want your money and how long and all those things. And then I love that you have a whole chapter about letting feelings get in the way. And you even mentioned that, like, who needs a whole chapter about emotions? Well, we do. And it's so true, because we do everything based on emotions, whether we realize it or not, to buying that ice cream, to how we treat our spouse, to how our day was. It's all based on the emotions that we carry with us. So, so these guys, I mean, the answers that are there in the book, you got kind of the idea of the obstacles here. And, it's just been so awesome. So before my last question, can you please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can get your book, how they can work with you?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So that's one place to look me up and follow. I post daily insights there on LinkedIn. Our website is pacificcapital.com. And it's a pretty clean website. It's one scroll. There's no buttons to click away, but it shares a little bit about the client journey and the services that we can help you with. So if you want to schedule a free goals conversation, you can do it right there on our one-page website. And then Stress-Free Money is it's simple. It's on Amazon. So we've got the paperback, the hardcover, the ebook, and the audiobook all there. And like I said, the audiobook's super short. So if you're not into actual reading books, it's fine. You can listen to it quickly. So
perfect. On regular time or double time, whatever your jam is.
That's right. That's right.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners before we wrap up?
Just that we deserve stress-free money. We shouldn't be. 85% of people report that they are stressed or anxious about their financial life. And it's not, you don't have to be that way. You don't have to live the next 25 years constantly having worries about money. And it's something that you will pass on to everyone around you, especially your children. They will see that stress and they'll experience that. And it'll be that blueprint that frames their future feelings about money. So I'd say don't wait. Make some plans today to get yourself in a better financial position for the future.
Yes. And one thing I have to say that you brought that up about the kids or your next generation there is that even if they actually end up with some financial independence, you will see that a lot of people still struggle with the mentality, even 100%. If their situation is different, because you've passed that on. So man, it's so important for you to take that awareness, take that knowledge, and take that step, because it's more scary in your head than it is when you just start getting the plan, right? Getting the answer, seeing it in black and white.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. Amazing. Well, you guys make sure to get in touch with Chad on LinkedIn and grab that book on Amazon. The best time to start your plan is today. Thank you again, Chad, so much for being here.
Thank you.
You guys get there, pacificcapital.com. We will have all the links and everything down below, as we always do. As you know, you can connect with us at My Design Life Show and at Tanyamfk on Facebook and Instagram, and learn more about our courses, workshops, and coaching to grow your business and create a life you love at Tanyamfk.com. Now, if you like this episode, then make sure to subscribe, follow, and be notified when our next one is up by clicking that button now. And remember, your someday starts today. Make it the best. See you next time. Thanks for joining us. My Design Life is a Tanyamfk production. You can catch us every week at 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. London on the Tanyamfk YouTube channel. Do you have a method, tip, or hack you'd like to share or explore? Suggest a topic or submit to be a guest by visiting our website at Tanyamfk.com.